Hello, everybody. Welcome to my podcast, Negative Energy. I'm going to talk about negative energy today and being around negative energy and negative people and environments and situations. It's really important to protect yourself. It's really unhealthy for your aura to be around negativity and negative people. You'll pay the price later. That's what I found out. There are ways you can protect yourself against it. Probably the greatest way to protect yourself from negativity is not to be anywhere near them or the situation, but that's not always possible. But firstly, if you have to be with someone who's negative, try not to be with them for very long and steer the conversation away from the negativity if you possibly can. Leaving the room is quite a good idea, going to the bathroom, going outside to water something, anything you can do to keep away from that energy that's coming and hitting you, because the energy is coming off them and it's actually hitting you. Be aware that they can get you on the phone. A lot of people don't realise this, but they'll get you on the phone. So you can be feeling really quite great. You have this phone call and get off the phone, and then in the next few hours don't feel so great. Negative energy will affect you because you're so sensitive. It's everywhere, and there's nothing much we can do about the fact that we're actually in a pool of it. However, you can really understand who you are and know that it's going to affect you more than maybe a normal person. So avoidance is the first thing, changing the subject, doing all those things. The next thing is that as they're talking, you can put a big wall of kind of like, I see it like energy in front of me, like a big wall in front of me between them, and so it's not hitting you as much. I usually put it on my vulnerable areas, so wherever you think you're vulnerable, whether it's your solar plexus, your heart, your throat, even your third eye, just put up a wall of energy, and this wall of energy will actually help you cope. It just gives you a little bit of help. It's not a lot, but it is a little bit, and it will help you to find another way to cope, I suppose. You can also be the one who's spewing the negative thoughts or energy as well, so be aware of that when you're doing that, you're actually hitting other people and you're going to be affecting them, and perhaps it's better to curtail it and not do it as much, or maybe go away and have some time to yourself until either your anger or your upset settles down as well, because we can send an energy out, positive and negative, just like everybody else. Negative situations are another one. They can be fights or difficulties at work, or situations that you get in with your family that are becoming negative between people. And I think that's the same thing. You need to get out of it. You need to detach from it and move away from it, especially if it's an ongoing negative experience that keeps being created. You just need to not be in it, and that's the best thing to do. There are times when we can be in things and make some changes, but then there's times where it doesn't matter really what we do. It's just coming back to the same old pattern of the fight or the disagreement or the Cold War, whatever's happening. So I think it's very important for you to understand that these little episodes are going to happen and you need to protect yourself energetically. On a world level, I would limit what I watch on Netflix or TV or even YouTube. Anything that's going to be feeling negative for you isn't a good thing for you to watch. So don't watch it. If you start watching something and it starts to upset you, just turn it off. Just turn it off. There will be times when you can cope with a fair bit of negativity and not absorb it, but just handle it. And there'll be other times when it's just too much from a personal point of view. You might be doing a lot of clearing out of your own stuff, or you're just vulnerable, or you're too tired, and then you're not going to be able to cope. So it's okay to switch things off, turn the music down, all the things that you need to do to make it more serene, to make it more calm for you. Negative energy is going to hit into all your chakras as well, and I suggest that you do a lot of chakra cleansing and clearing off stuff and clearing off negativity. I've spoken about this in other podcasts. Having a salt bath is a really good idea, and also meditating will help you clear it off, and also being outside in nature and getting some exercise. Negative energy is a very low vibration, and that's also why you don't want it in your aura. And sometimes people are very skilled at giving you their negative energy. They just love doing that, and you need to be really aware of that, because they go away and feel better, and then you feel terrible. This is a really healthy way to live, to avoid negative energy, because it has no positive for you at all, and it's going to clog up your aura and upset you, and really not help the other person much either, because while we're allowing them to continue to be negative and being an audience, they just continue to swirl around in their mess, and that's actually not good for them either. It's a pattern and a habit with a lot of people. They just get used to whinging and whining and complaining and being negative, and they just run around looking for somebody to listen to them. Don't be that person anymore. Just stop it, because it's no good for you or for them. And it just keeps it going and going and going. It's quite hard socially to do this. It can look like you're being rude or you don't care, but actually it's a very caring thing to listen to people, to be empathetic, but to sit in a big swamp of negativity with them and both be negatively affected and affects both of your well-being, that's not really such a positive environment for anybody. Being away from this is a very good thing physically as well, because then you won't be hit by it. And also, there'll be times when their negativity is so high, so strong, that you might not have the capacity to deal with it. Sometimes people just seem to get into almost a frenzy with it, and they'll hit you with a huge bombardment of it. You don't need that. Most of these things can be dealt with in different ways anyhow. We can acknowledge that things are bad or it's difficult or you're upset, but we can still look to being hopeful and positive outcomes and what we can do and problem solving, which is not a negative experience to do that. I found it really hard to be with negative people, and the more work I've done on myself, the more difficult I actually find it to be with them, which is strange. But that's just how it is for me. I find that once their energy starts hitting me, I'll feel it straight away, and quite often I'll have a physical effect afterwards, which is really annoying. Therefore, I've had to sort of shield myself more from them and limit my time with them. It's not that I don't love these people. Actually, quite a lot of these people I do love, but they just won't stop spewing negativity, and it's who they are and what they want to do right now. But I've decided it's not for me, and I can only take so much, and then I need to move away. If you're trying to be a more positive person too and bring positive energies into your aura, then also this will be an extremely difficult situation for you, because it's counter to what you're trying to do. And I find too, trying to speak to them doesn't always work. If I try and be positive, I call it the big vomit. They just keep vomiting and carrying on and get worse. And if you interrupt them, they just start all over again from the beginning. So you either stand there and take it, put some shields up, or you leave the room. It's basically that simple. It's a very difficult thing to deal with, particularly with people that you love and who you're close to, because you want to be supportive of them. But there's a fine line between being supportive and then being damaged by them. And I think that's why I've done this little podcast, because this negativity can be damaging to your aura, particularly if you absorb it or it hits you. Remember, it's like a big black, fiery energy coming towards you and hitting into your aura and disturbing it. And it is very, very disturbing. Use your oils as well. Burn your oils to clear it. Sage the house. Do whatever practices you need to do to clear it off you. But mostly, if at all possible, avoid it and protect. There are two things: avoid and protect. Just walking outside will make a difference. Going and having a shower will make a difference, and it breaks that pattern, because people get onto a rant sometimes and they can't stop. So you need to help them stop, and that's a way to help them stop. We need to live in a world that we've created for ourselves, which is positive and has positive energies in it. And we need to be mindful that not everyone wants to live in that world or live in that world. A lot of people live in a very negative space, and they feed the negativity because for some reason that's where they want to be. And it isn't transient, it's like all the time. It's different if something bad happens to people or upsetting and then it passes. With these people, it doesn't pass. It's just the same old, and that's why I'm thinking you need to address it for yourself, because you will not be able to really change them. You can only change what you do for yourself. So good luck protecting yourself from negativity. Once you start noticing it, it's much easier. Like, I notice it now. Straight away, I'm like, okay, this is getting really negative. I need to either switch off to or do some of my practices afterwards to get rid of it. We can't change some things, but we can find ways to work around them. And that's what I want you to do, so that you put more positive energy in your life. And that can be playing music and burning your oils, and then ringing up someone who's a bit more cheerful, shall we say. It's quite a skill to learn to do this. I wouldn't say that I've actually done it always well. Sometimes I've noticed I get hit before I realise it, and then afterwards have to do the work. But even if you do it during the negative experience or after, do it, because your aura will thank you for it. So I'm hoping you're having a positive time, and I'm hoping that you're finding ways to deal with it. And I'm sending you lots of love and light.